Hi guys, Thierry here, also known as Video Demon, and today we're finally getting on to the last album review of the year. I know I promised it a while ago, but university has gotten in the way. YouTube is a hobby, whilst my assignments are like a lot more important, but I still promised I was going to make them. And as you can see with the title in the beginning of this video, we're going to start with Trust Company's The Lonely Position of Neutral. Now, there will be more album reviews other than the ones I mentioned in the last video, but the 5 or 6, I don't remember how many I chose, but those in particular were the ones I wanted to talk about for a while. So, yeah, I thought we might as well start this. Um, let's go with this album. Why am I reviewing it? I think that this album is an underrated gem in the new metal, well, I guess also alternative metal, maybe a bit post grunge as well, but I don't really think Trust Company sound like bands like Seether and Creed and Puddle of Mud, whoever else, Crossfade. I don't really think Trust Company sound like those guys, but yeah, I think this album's an underrated gem. It should be in the same league as, say, System of a Down's Toxicity, Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory and Meteora, Evanescence's Fallen, even though I think Fallen isn't, it's kind of new metal, but not really, other than Bring Me to Life, and many others as well, like Korn's first 4 albums. I think this should be in the same league as those. But yeah, a bit of info before we talk about the actual album first. Trust Company, they formed in 1997, I believe, as 41 Down, which, okay, even for new metal, is an extremely generic band name. I'm actually very happy that they ended up changing it to a much better one, Trust Company or TrustCO. And while they were called 41 Down, they did a few demos and EPs and such, but I'm not going to bother talking about those. They're very good, but very raw. And if you want to listen to them, they are available on YouTube, so you don't have to pay loads of money on Discogs to find the CDs. But yeah, when they changed the name to Trust Company, they got signed on to Geffen Records, who's produced quite a lot of albums in this kind of sphere. I think Year of the Spider by Cold is another one as well. Well, yeah. And of course, we're going to get into the tracks, but I'm just going to show the packaging first. This was their debut. Obviously, I've probably mentioned it loads of times now, but yeah, the album cover depicts. It's not the most interesting cover, but it absolutely fits the vibe of the music. It's a picture of like those three kind of like public seats that you would see in like a subway or like a train station or something like that. And of course, it's one of those ones where it's like you've got two on the side and the one in the middle doesn't have any legs. So is it kind of a representation? This is literally the neutral because it's in the middle. And you've got the band's logo saying TrustCO, but Trust Company underneath. And the back of the album cover is kind of a blurry picture of. It looks like a freeway or something like that. Like they were driving down like an active freeway across a bridge or an overpass or something at night time. It's very beautiful because I will mention this album. If you do want to listen to it during a certain mood, you absolutely need to listen to it whilst you're driving at night time or in the passenger seat at night time. It is just such a vibe, absolutely. And obviously, I'll just open the CD up as well. You've got a picture of the band themselves, looking really chilled out. And they've got the star as well, which is kind of like, I think the star is kind of like their mascot, if you will, or their brand identity. And you've got pictures of them as well, rocking out, which there's a lot of pictures inside of the manual like that of just them performing live and stuff. So really shows that they're very authentic. But yeah, I think this album is brilliant. So I want to get into it. Oh, and by the way, it was released in July of 2002. That absolutely amazing year for music. So many fantastic releases. So yeah, this album is 20 years old right here. So yeah. So yeah, but has it aged well? Does it still stand up? Well, of course it would, because I love talking about this kind of music. But anyway, let's get into it. Let's go through the track list. Track number 1, Downfall. that's literally the experience of like playing this album on CD or whatever platform you use, YouTube, Spotify. It just jumps you right into it. Cymbal clashes and just heavy riffs, and the verses. You kind of notice like what this band is all about. Very melodic, very sort of Kevin Palmer. I can't remember the name of the other band members, by the way. Sorry. I think some of the guitarists, like, or the bass players, came and left. But yeah, but Kevin's vocals are very sort of whispery. Fear in me so deep, it gets the best of me. Like it's kind of one of my friends was laughing, saying it kind of sounds like he was recording at his parents' house and didn't want to wake them up. Which I don't think that's a negative thing at all. I actually think it's very interesting that he's got a whispery kind of voice, as well as his screaming has a bit of a whisper too. But yeah, Downfall, out of all their songs, it's their most famous song. It's in a lot of like new metal celebrated like playlists or whatever. It's a really famous track. It was in many video games at the time, like MX Unleashed, that crappy ass BMX Triple X game, and I'm sure a few others as well. You could probably look it up. But yeah, the song was really popular in 2002. Kind of reflected the style of new metal at the time. I would say as the genre was fading, you got a lot more melodic releases like this. But anyway, Downfall. It was also, in addition, it was also the first song that I ever heard from them. From YouTube recommendations, I was actually listening to Chevelle, and I saw the music video for Downfall in the YouTube recommendations, I think back in 2018, and eventually I listened to the full album in 2019. So yeah, Downfall, it's a fantastic opener, and it's the only thing I'll say is that it's a real shame that they're kind of classed as one-hit wonders because of this song. Like, this was their highest charted song, and on streaming platforms, it has way more listens than any of the other songs, which really is a shame. You know, people should have given them more of a chance than this song, because this album didn't go platinum, unfortunately, but it did go gold, primarily because of Downfall. It's that classic of a song. It's that iconic. It's brilliant. Track number 2 is the second single as well, Falling Apart, which, yeah, there's so many bands with a song like that. There's Spineshank had a song like that, Hurt had a song called Falls Apart, Zebrahead had Falling Apart. There's so many more examples I could probably list, like songs that weren't singles, but yeah. Falling Apart, this song was known mostly because it was I believe it was in some kind of like WWE kind of pay-per-view in 2002. For any wrestling fans who want to correct me, put it in the comments. I didn't really bother to look it up what it was, but that is what the song was known for. It was a theme song. It was either a wrestler's theme song at the time, or it was like one of the Royal Rumbles, SummerSlams, whatever they were. I'm not a wrestling fan, let's be honest here. But yeah, Falling Apart, it's a lot more melodic, and you kind of go into, that's the thing that Trust Company is known for. The riffs are extremely heavy, but then it goes into the verses, which are like, I slip away further from you, and it sounds very sort of sorrowful and melancholic kind of vibes. And the chorus, can't you see I'm falling apart? It's extremely emotional. And the middle of the song, it goes into like a breakdown where the very sort of new metalish riffs kind of come out, and the singer keeps going, no, spit it out, spit it out. And then it goes back into the sort of kind of light, kind of like dreamy kind of feel. I'm going to say that word a lot in regards to this album. But yeah, that is the vibe of the song. It's got a very sort of mood swing kind of feel to it. Schizophrenic, if you will. I don't know if you'd say that. But yeah, Falling Apart, it wasn't as popular as Downfall because Downfall was really catchy, like, can I break away, push me away, and obviously had kind of the change in the time signatures, go, which made it really sort of like quick fire and catchy. But Falling Apart still did see success thanks to WWE, so yeah. Great song so far. We're doing great. Number 3 is track 3 is Hover. Hover goes into a lot more lighter territories. You kind of hear those high pitched, dreamy sounding guitars, and the verses. Um, you take me down further inside of me. Yeah, the song's called Hover because it literally does make you feel like you're like floating above the ground. It's a very floaty kind of feel. Um, I just really love this song. It's actually very relaxing. It's very even though I never listened to this album until 2019, it does kind of make me feel like I'm back in the early 2000s somehow, just the vibe of it, or back in the 2000s. It's very nostalgic sounding for sure. Plus, there's also Hover Quiet Mix, which I believe was in the soundtrack to Underworld of all movies, where it turns the song into a piano ballad of all things, like pianos and strings. Uh, Be warned, guys, that version of the song is a real tearjerker. Like, I mean it when I say that Trust Company is the weird line between new metal, alt metal, and almost kind of emo. I don't think they're as whiny as like some of the later emo bands, but just the kind of the vibes that it has is very much so like that. Hover is just beautiful. Next song is Running From Me, which I believe was the second single. This one also had a music video, but if you compare the two on YouTube, like Downfall has way more views than Running From Me. So yeah, it clearly didn't do as well. But I really like the intro riffs, guitar kind of feels like the strings are being plucked. It kind of then it goes back into the distortion. That's what I say about this album is that the guitar mix is fantastic because it's like my problem with a lot of later rock albums when new metal started to kind of fade is that they sound really weak in the mix, and that is a problem with snare drums in like modern metal, rock and metal albums is that they sound very weak, but the production it's like it's still very heavy. It's polished, but it sounds heavy at the same time. Like I said, very reminiscent of Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory and Meteora. This album was like released in between those two, but anyway, yeah, Running From Me, more sort of like lyrics. It's like I can't wake up. It's like I can't wake up from what I used to be. Am I running from you, or am I running from me? So kind of lyrics about self doubt and things like that. And later on in the song as well, like the singer like properly like screams the words out. I can't remember the lyrics exactly, but it's like the drumming goes in time to it exactly. That's my favorite part of the whole song, and yeah, it's brilliant. Running From Me. It's very reminiscent of the song as well called Piece by Piece by Strata. I found it thanks to the Punisher album, the old Thomas Jane movie. Next track is Slipping Away. Not one of my favorite songs on the album, unfortunately. It's a bit more of a ballad. The guitars are extremely like dreamy and soft sounding. A lot of so it makes you feel like you're in a dream at like nighttime walking down the streets. But yeah, the chorus is very nice. All the choruses are really catchy on this album. Cause I feel like I'm slipping away. Like it's really beautiful. It isn't one of the standout tracks though, so I'll say that, but it's okay. The next song is this really annoys me because of the placement. Track number 6 is Figure Eight, which I think it should have been track number 8. It would have been funnier that way, but it's not a big issue. Figure Eight goes back into the very new metal sounding track. Like pure headbanger, really gets you like headbanging. I found this song specifically because of Project Gotham Racing 2 on the original Xbox. I ended up picking it up when I got back into racing games again, and it was a hidden gem. But yeah, Figure Eight, the verses, which is very common on this album, is that the verses tend to be quite kind of soft and kind of like just out with the place I'm in, just so with the wicked tears sin. So send me now, stop. Yeah, all of me to know. And the choruses are very sort of explosive and bombastic. You know, no one can save you now when it all goes around. Yeah, this album is brilliant. It's absolute. The album and this song as well, but yeah, this song is really a headbanger. It's perfect for a racing game. Speaking of as well, Linkin Park also had a song called Figure 9, which came out a year after this. So I don't know if that's a sequel to this, but in my head canon it is. Next song, track number 7, The Fear. According to Wikipedia, um, there you go, The Fear. According to Wikipedia, this song actually was the third single on the album, but there was no music videos or anything like that. Which it was really odd that they picked this as a sequel because it's the most ballady song on the album. It's easily the softest song. It sounds like something straight out of like an early 2000s kind of like teen romance kind of drama, young adult romance kind of drama. It has that same kind of feel. Lead me with the fear. Yeah, it's not one of my favorites, but it is nice to see them do something other than just kind of like angry kind of new metal, so it gives it variety, but it's not my favorite. Also, I'll mention I'm not going to talk about the lyrics as such on this album that much because, for the most part, they are kind of like on the more sort of. I'm just showing you the spine. They are sort of more on the generic side, which isn't a bad problem at all. But there isn't any kind of songs about kind of different or strange topic. It's all kind of like emotional topics, like relationships, friendships, like falling apart and those kind of things, and finding your self worth. So it is a very positive album, really. I'll just leave it at that. Um, Next song, track number 8, my favorite song on the entire album, Deeper Into You. This song is just beautiful. It just starts off really beautiful, and it has some of the best duo guitar compositions I've ever heard. Because you have one guitar that's obviously the rhythm guitar, and then you get the main guitar, which is. It's the kind of like notes in the guitar that give me that kind of like shivers up my spine and like my goosebumps and like the hairs stand up on my neck. It's just, oh my god, it's just pure emotion. And then it goes back into the it goes back into the kind of heavy like new metal riffs, and like I'll mention as well, like the verses says like I'm not me when I dream anymore. I used to think this song was actually like about alcoholism, like I'm not me when I drink, which is something that me and others can definitely relate to. But no, he is definitely saying dreaming, but it's kind of funny to think that. But yeah, the chorus is extremely melodic, extremely beautiful. God, this song is just amazing. When I've been in the mood, it has made me cry, ironically, which is funny because of how heavy the song gets. Like, it makes you want to, like, beat somebody up, but it also can bring you to tears if you're in that mood. So, it's really interesting. It's amazing. The next song is Drop to Zero. This song kind of gives you some false sense of security because it opens up with more like very sort of melodic riffs. Then it goes straight into the abrasive headbanging riffs. Drop to zero. Drop. I love the chorus. Just drop to zero. I honestly, I wish that this like song could have played in one of those like drop tower rides that you'd get at an amusement park. Like the Tower of Terror at Disneyland, the elevator that goes up and then vroom, just like slams down. This song would have been perfect, like just the build up, rising up, and then drop. Just the ride just goes like that. But anyway, yeah, the verses are extremely melodic. And it kind of goes back, it keeps going back into the sort of like the heavy riffs and stuff like that. So yeah, Drop to Zero. It's fantastic. I really do wish these songs had gotten like more attention. They're very underrated. Now we've only got 2 songs left, other than the B-sides, which I'm not going to talk about that much because they're not on my copy of the album. But anyway, finally, another one that I'm like not as much of a fan as. It is kind of like I think it's one of the more forgettable kind of songs. But the bit I like is I can see, I can see, I can see. I love the whole the singing combined with the style of riffs, that kind of shows you that these guys were like excellent songwriters and knew their craft. But yeah, even the less good songs like Finally, I still like. So, I would encourage you to listen to the whole thing. And the last song on the album is track number 11, Take It All. Starts off. I just love songs like that. That kind of style of drumming. It's like aggressive riffs, but the drum is kind of tap, snare, tap, snare. Like it's like kind of like a slow kind of drum beat. I really love it because it's the kind of thing that you can like slowly bang your head to. It's brilliant. It gets me every time. Um, and then the chorus is actually the drumming actually goes kind of fast again and more melodic. And then sorry, did I say the chorus or the verse? I meant the verses. But then the chorus comes and we get back to the triumphant singing like take it all, 'cause I'm right here to know. Find it all, and I'm running. And the end of the song, I really like it because it's like, I can't trust what I see, I can't trust what I see, I'm changing. I love it when songs do that. Like the last like chorus kind of changes things up in the lyricism, and the end of the song it just like it just ends like that. There's no kind of reverb or hidden track. It just ends, which truly kind of encapsulates the lonely position of neutral. But yes, this album is a gem. But however, I will mention two other songs. There were two songs. I believe that this was the hidden track on the Japanese copy of the album. I think it was called Today. I listened to it on YouTube, and you can definitely tell like it came from like their earlier work because it doesn't match the kind of recording quality of the rest of the album. And there's also Closer, not the Nine Inch Nails song, their own song, which I really do like that one a lot. And Hover Quiet Mix, like I said, was in Underwood, was also on some copies of the album, but they're not on mine. So I think Take It All is like the perfect ending track. But anyways, that was The Lonely Position of Neutral. I'm so happy to do another album review talking about my love of music for bands that I think should have been recognized more. My overall rating, I usually don't like to rate albums, so I'm not going to bother with that. But I'll say it is one of probably my top 20 favorite albums. Um, and on my Spotify and other accounts like that, YouTube, I listen to this one a lot. I really love. I love the singers like style of vocals. I love the songwriting, just the changes of the drum patterns, and despite there being no guitar solos, which I don't really think guitar solos would have worked with this album anyway, because it kind of would have taken the raw kind of young energy kind of feel it has. I hope that makes sense. The early 2000s feel it has. But the riffs are still really excellent. There's so many melodies as well as just really just like bone crushing kind of like riffs and stuff. So it's a mix of everything really. It's just so brilliant. I love it. I will say as well, it actually is, along with Fallen by Evanescence, technically, if it counts, and Two Angels and a Dream by the band Depswa. I think this is one of the most melodic new metal albums of all time. It's definitely, I don't want to say the softest because you can't really get soft when it comes to metal, but because it is still heavy, but the vocals and the dreaminess do make it really relaxing. And it also kind of gives me Incubus vibes as well. As far as the lyricism goes, it's not the most experimental album or anything. It's more the same sort of kind of lines. It has like youthful kind of energy, slightly emo, but I don't think that's a problem at all. It's very subtle. It's not like Stained where Aaron Lewis talks about his dad all the time. They, the songs similar to Linkin Park, they talk about ambiguous topics, which is really good. You can kind of relate to them anyway. So, and I really like that. And I actually think I prefer the instrumentation, the musical side of this over the lyrics. No offense to the lyrics, but I definitely am a lyric guy, but I'm not going to analyze all the songs. I prefer the melodies and how the songs play out. But anyway, that's just my opinion when it comes to music. That's pretty much it. As far as Trust Company nowadays, and after this album, they did, I believe it was called True Parallels in 2005, which kind of it doesn't entirely ditch the new metal sound, but the guitars get a lot softer and it leans more towards the sort of emo style that was picking up in the mid 2000s. But I've listened to the album like a couple times. It's definitely not as good as this one, but it is still impressive and stronger. Actually, it was kind of a minor hit. It wasn't as big as Downfall, but it did manage to be a hit. And after that, they did an independent release, Dreaming in Black and White, in 2011. And unfortunately, to say that has been their last album. So 11 years, and we haven't got anything new from them. But it's also the same thing. It's like, do we need new Trust Company or anything like that? I think this album is solid on its own. But, who knows? Maybe it'll happen someday, maybe it won't. I heard it was something to do with label pressures, but yeah, I just wish this band could come back and do another, even if it's like indie like album, that's fine. But yeah, this album, The Lonely Position of Neutral, it's fantastic. I truly recommend it wherever you want to listen to it. Thanks for watching, guys. Next video is going to be the end of year, kind of like, the 2022 end of year video, just discussing everything. So stay tuned for that and more album reviews and short films or videos in the new year. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care. I hope you enjoyed this review of this brilliant album. Peace.